Hello, I am Marie Walker and I am the Director of Education here at the Northeast Georgia History Center, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make an old-timey scarf. So my favorite fashion era, you could say, would be, or at least the one that I've spent the most time studying, is the 1860s. So I've spent a lot of time looking at pictures of scarves from the 1860s as accessories for men and women. And this is kind of the pattern that I've come up with in my head of what would be an appropriate mid-Victorian scarf. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to crochet that. So crochet is kind of like knitting, but not. You only have one, only one stick instead of two, and this stick has a nice little crooked head on it, so it has a nice little hook. So crocheting is a lot faster than knitting. And therefore you have more instant gratification in what you're working on. Knitting is a much slower process that it's not as, you don't get to see your finished product as fast. So I like crocheting better for that reason as well. So that's what we're going to be doing today, and crochet has been around a long time, and it was around during the mid-Victorian era. Okay, so now I'm going to decide, I want to start out with this blue color for my scarf. So I'm going to show you how to do a single crochet stitch. So to start out, and this is whatever stitch you're doing, is you have to tie on your yarn. So basically I'm just going to take my yarn, I'm going to wrap it around my hook. I literally just wrapped it around. All right, and then I'm going to just tie a slip knot at the back. Ta-da! So I just tied a slip knot around my hook. One more time. You just drape over the yarn. All right, and then I tie it in the back, and just a slip knot. And then you pull it. You don't want it to be too tight. You still want it to be able to kind of go up and down the stick there. But you don't want it to be too loose either, so it doesn't, just fall off. Now I give a warning. Apparently I hold my crochet stick backwards according to other people I've crocheted around. So this might not necessarily be the proper way to do it, but it's the way that felt natural to me when I picked it up and taught myself how to do it. So that's what I did. Just know that it is backwards according to some people. So once I have tied on my yarn, I am then going to take the yarn that is kind of dangling off here in the back that is connected to the whole skein, and I'm going to wrap it around like so. All right, and then I'm going to take the one that I tied on, and I'm just going to pull it over. It's that simple. You have done one stitch. So that again. Just loop it over, whoop, loop it over, pull the bottom one over, loop the yarn right under the hook, pull the other side over. See, and now we're getting a chain. We're getting a chain on the other side. So you can do this as many times as you want. When I was first learning, I literally just had a giant chain. I think my cousins and I tried to jump rope with it because it was so long. Because I only knew how to chain stitch. I didn't know how to connect them, but I thought it was really fun to chain stitch. So that's basically all you're doing, is you're looping it over and pulling your chain. So it catches on the hook there, as you see, so it stays, and then you pull the other ones over. All right, so I'm not sure how many I've done. Let's go back and count. So if you're trying to count your stitches, you kind of count the little loops there. So let's see, we've done, okay, let's see. We have done, I'm going to try to count with you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's make that an even 10, shall we? All right, 10. So there we go. We have a chain of 10 stitches. Looks like that. That's kind of like the front side is this more even side, and then the back side is this more bumpy side. So this nice smooth side, all these loops that are now interconnected and locked, it forms our chain, and that's how we're going to start off this scarf. So for a scarf, I want it to be wider than this. No scarf in the 1860s was this tiny unless it was for a small child. So we're going to keep on chaining. All right, and we're going to make sure we have a nice loose yarn to pull from. Otherwise, you don't want to pull your yarn too tight. It's better to have it kind of coming from like a loose place. You don't want it to get tangled, but you also don't want to have your yarn here so tight that you're like having to pull really hard to get it over. You want it to kind of be able to come naturally, to come loosely over the hook without too much struggle. So we're just going to keep going here. Oop. Now this one I feel like it was a little bit too big. So if you feel like you messed up a stitch, it's so easy to unravel. You just pull this yarn here. That's the one that you have coming from it, your lead yarn perhaps, and it just comes undone. All right, so then to restart, this little loop here, you just stick your hook through it, and then you can just keep going and use that same yarn. So it's really not wasteful to undo stitches by any means. It's just, it gives you your yarn back so you can get it back in the correct order. All right. I feel like that is wide enough for yarn. Wide enough for a scarf. Let's see. All right. So if I hold this up to my shoulder, I feel like that's a good length for a scarf. Good width for a scarf. Let's say. We're still going to work on the length. That's far more intensive than the width. So I like this. So let's count and see how many that we have here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. We have 20. Okay, so here I am going to, this is my 20th stitch. So I'm going to remember that one. Okay, and then to go over, to connect them, to turn, we're going to go 1, 2, okay, and then we're going to do a double crochet into the third hole here, which was my 20th one. Which means to do double crochet, we loop around just like the first time, but then we go through the 20th hole. Whoop, almost did it. Okay, so loop around, go through the hole of the 20th one, go through that loop. We're then going to hook it again, pull it through the 20th one. All right, I now have 3 loops on my hook. I'm then going to loop it around again. All right, and now I'm going to pull through the first 2, leaving 1 on, and then I created that new one, and I'm going to loop it again and pull both of them through so I just have 1 on my hook. Okay, I hope that made sense. If not, we're going to do it one more time. Well, actually, we're going to do it way more than one more time because we're going to do the double crochet for the rest of our scarf. We just did that one single chain to chain on because it's easier that way. At least I think so. And then we're going to do double crochet for the rest of the scarf. So we're going to go ahead. See, we have this one nice double crochet here. And we tried to turn our corner pretty well. Got a double there. So we have a nice, that's going to be like a nice little corner. So to do a double crochet, again, we're going to loop over, go through the hole of the next one. All right, and then we're going to loop again. So, so I went through the hole, right? And then I'm going to loop it with the hook, pull through that chain stitch there, loop it again, pull through the first two, loop again, pull through the second two, and there's just one left. So again, we're going to loop, go through, hook, pull through, and then we're going to loop once, pull through these two, and then pull through those two. There's just one. Okay, so we just finished our chain stitch here. We have done 20 of them so far. Now what do we do with them? Well, we can connect them to something else, and that is how we will make our scarf. Now you could do a bunch of chain stitches and connect the chain stitches, but that's going to take so much time. I've done it before. I've done it. Would not necessarily recommend to a friend. It's very, very time consuming. So how do we speed up this process? We do a double crochet. So that's what I'm going to teach you how to do. So I like to just kind of start off the scarf with a single because I think it gives you a nice good base there. And then we're going to go to a double. So I'm going to drop my tail. So I've done 20, right? So this is my 20th loop, is the one that is right, not the one on my hook, but the one right below it. This is my 20th one right here. So to turn, so I can reconnect with my 20th one here, I have this loop on here. And I'm going to have a loop on there until I'm pretty much done with this scarf. But, so I'm going to mark the 20th one by pinching it here. And then I'm going to pull through 1 and 2. So I have these 2 chain stitches that I've done that are going to help me turn and kind of become the corner of my scarf. I then want to go into the 20th one that I have pinched here with a double crochet. A double crochet looks very much like a single crochet with just a little twist. We are going to wrap our yarn around the hook. We're then going to insert it into the middle of that 20th crochet stitch. We're then going to hook yarn around it. So I've hooked the yarn. We're then going to pull through that 20th stitch right there. All right, so now I have 3 loops on the crochet hook. And I'm going to put a 4th loop. But I'm only now going to pull through the first 2 loops on the stick, which leaves 2. I'm then going to wrap the stick one more time and pull through the last 2 there. And then I have just 1 chain stitch, or one loop on my hook again. And you can kind of see this nice little corner that is forming. And you don't want to pull those too tight, and you want to make sure you have those, otherwise your scarf is going to turn into a really weird triangle shape really fast. And we're back with light. Okay, so basically we're going to do that all along our chain stitch here, is do this nice double crochet. And a double crochet is like a single crochet, but it's double and it takes up more room, so we get the scarf done faster. So we're going to loop. We're going to put it through the middle. We're going to hook on the other side, pull through. So we just have the 3 on the hook. Loop again, so we have 4 on the hook. Take off the first 2, loop again, take off the second 2, and we're left with just 1. Okay, so we're going to do that again. We're going to go through with 1, go through, and we're going through the next one each time. So you can kind of see here, I have it pulled up, which isn't necessarily the best thing to do, but this way you really get to see what I'm doing. So this is the one loop that I would be going through, and the next time I'm going to go through this loop here. So here we are. So we have 3 on the hook, loop again with the 4th, pull through those 2, loop again, pull through those 2, left with 1. Now we're going to go to through this next loop here. So we are going to put 1 on, go through the middle, hook on the other side, some yarn, pull that back through, so we have 3 on the hook, loop over, pull through. All right, so if we're doing that kind of fast, this is what it might look like. So we're going to loop and then go through and then hook and then pull through and then loop those 2 and loop those 2. So if you get to where you're kind of good and comfortable at it, you can kind of just hold the yarn here with this finger, like so, and that way you just kind of loop with this hand doesn't really have to do anything. You just kind of hold it there, and then you just kind of hook with the stick. So I'm kind of pinching my project with this finger. I'm kind of pinching the other side with this finger here to kind of hold it steady while I'm still getting it started. And then I'm just kind of holding my pointer finger out, kind of keeping the nice tension with the yarn, and then I'm just kind of going through and I'm grabbing it with my hook. And sometimes it's really hard once you're like getting started because you just have that one kind of flimsy chain where you're trying to get it to stay, and therefore I'm kind of having to pinch it as well to make sure it goes through where I want it to go through. And if once I get this going more, it'll be more sturdy, and perhaps I won't have to pinch and guide as much because it'll be more stable. So this is the chain that we're doing. So see how much bigger that is than just a single chain? It's quite more woven here. But it still has like that single chain look at the top. So if you're looking at it, not from its width, but its height, if you're looking down at it, it looks like a single crochet stitch on the top, but beneath it has more roots, has more twisty twists, and that way it just goes so much faster. And then see kind of our end there kind of rounded a bit, but once we connect it to the top, it'll kind of pull itself out and be more straight. All right, so we're going to keep going because we are only about halfway done with the double crochets on our chain. Oops. All right, so if you just got too fast like me and you're like, oh no, what happened? I have a lot of loops everywhere. All right, just take your yarn and pull, and then, okay, now we're back to just one loop. And that's the loop I'm going to then stick my hook back in so I can continue on. From the skein and having it roll all over the place, and then it gets really tight. So for tension wise, you want to I like it best if you unwind a bit of it here that you can pull from, and therefore it becomes easy, but you don't have too much where it gets tangled, because you also don't want that. All right, so I have 3, go to 4, pull through the 2, hook around, pull through the 2. All right, we're almost at the end. We're almost at the end. We almost made it. We almost did a whole roll. All right, we've made it. Look at that. Made it to the end. If you pull on it, you can kind of see in between better. But if not, it will kind of just go naturally. So there we are. We've done it. Now where do we go from here? Well, we go up. We continue building. So I'm at the end here. This is where I've ended with my double crochet, but I'm going to do 2 single crochet again. So just wrap around and pull through, wrap around and pull through, because that's going to be where my turning point is. Because if I just try to go into the double crochet, that's not going to work out well. It'll make my scarf a weird shape. So I've done those 2, and I'm going to wrap around, but I'm not going to pull through yet because I'm going to do a double crochet. I'm going to go into the middle of that double crochet down here, wrap around again, so I have 3, wrap it again, so there's 4, pull through the first 2, pull through the second 2. There we are. So there it is. There's the start of our second row. And then we're going to just keep going with a double crochet. All right, 3 rows. See how fast that goes when you're doing the double crochet? And you can kind of see where the lines of the double crochet are. So you can see, here's like the first row double crochet we did, that's the top of it. And then here's the top row of that other row double crochet that we did. And then of course, this is the top row of the third row, a double crochet that we did. So this is just 3 rows, but it's about 2 inches high. And now what do? We have a good base here. This is when we have to start thinking about how we want our pattern to be like. So I also like to measure it against my body and see, is this a good block of color yet, or should I keep going? Because I'm going to put 2 stripes of red into it. So we're going to kind of do a History Center, Patriotic America color scarf. So we have some nice kind of tealish blue, some red, and some white. We'll see how they all come into play in a moment. But we have the blue, and that's going to be the basis of the scarf. And I'm going to do this accent red color, and I'm going to kind of put in a couple rows here. I'm just trying to decide if I should do 1 more double crochet row of blue before I put in the red. And I think I do. I think I want 1 more row because I want a good basis at the bottom. So we're going to go ahead, do 1 more row of blue, and then we're going to figure out how do we change color. So again, to turn, we do 2 single crochets, and then we wrap it around, go through that middle of the bottom there, middle of that top one, pull through, so we have 3, pull through again, so now there's just 2, wrap it again, and then we have 1. It's kind of like a magic trick. Keep making loops disappear. All right. Now we have 4 rows. And I feel like that's a good enough chunk to where we are going to go ahead and put in our red stripe, or maybe a couple stripes of red. All right, so we've done these 4 rows, and now we're going to put in that red stripe. So there's a couple different ways to do this. One is just kind of you take this off and start this one on, and then you kind of weave it. That's definitely a way to do it. My way of doing this is we tie it on, and it makes me feel more secure because there's a knot. So what I'm going to do is take this off the hook for a moment. I'm going to kind of snip it here. Then we're just going to tie on the red. Well, actually, let's see. So you snip it, I'm going to just tie it off. So to tie it, just kind of end whatever stitch you're doing, whether that be double, triple, single. The way I do that is I have my loop here. You pull, you snip off the tail, and you just pull that through. There, all right. And you pull it tight, and it kind of makes like a nice little slip knot, just like we started with. So now there's this tail here, and I'm going to start on with the red. And we can weave this tail in later. Here, I'm going to move this here. Move that away. So we can weave this tail in later, so it's not just going to be this random floppy thing that hangs out from our scarf. But to do this, and then I'm just going to start on. I'm going to do double crochet, but to start a double crochet to get that on the hook, same thing as regular, just tie a slip knot around it. So just a slip knot around. So I'm going to start on the same side where I have my tail. And to do that, to start off doing a double crochet, which you definitely can. You don't have to start like a single crochet like I did. I just like to. You just go ahead and wrap that first one around, put it through the middle of that loop there. Ooh. All right, wrap it around this side. Pull it through. Oop, I messed up there. All right, so you kind of have to just hold it really nice and tight. So loop, go through, loop, come back. You have 3 on there. Loop again. So now there's 4. Pull that through, loop, pull it through. All right, it's a little loose, but it'll be okay. So then we're just going to keep doing the same thing. So loop, push through, pull through, loop over, pull through 2, pull through 2. All right, and we're going to make sure this is, we're going to unwind this a little bit here so it doesn't continuously roll and we have a good amount of tension. So loop over, push through, loop over, pull through, loop over again, pull through 2, pull through 2. And then we're just going to keep going until we decide our red block is big enough and looks good. All right, so now that we've done like the first row here, you can really see how it kind of weaves in. So I would consider this to be more or less of the front of our piece, and then this would be like the back of our piece because you can kind of see how it weaves in the back here more. Kind of creates like a little row. Not as bad as if you're doing single crochet stitch. That one you can really tell which one's the back and which one's the front. But see, there we go. That's a 1 row double crochet for our scarf of the red block. So I think I'm going to do 2 blocks, or two rows of the red. So to turn, again, it's just like this other time we did that. You just do 2 single crochet and then go into the bottom of, or the first row, and then keep doing double crochets there. Now we have 2 rows. I think that's good. So I am going to finish that off there. So to finish that off, I'm going to just kind of snip and pull that through so it creates a slip knot. Now what do we do with these ends here? Well, one thing you can do is just, pull the knot really tight and then snip it off, or you can kind of go back and try to like weave in your ends, which is what I'm going to attempt to do here. So you can kind of use your crochet hook to help you do that. So you can go through and you can kind of just try to hook that around and then push it through. And then just kind of weave it back and forth between the holes. So just pulled it through to that side. I'm going to push it through to this side through each of the holes there. Kind of fills in the gaps too. Or you can kind of put your hook through and then kind of pull it to either side. That's probably a better way of doing that. All right, so that blue end just disappeared there. We had a whole end there. It just kind of disappeared into our woven structure. So I'm going to do the same thing with this one. So I'm going to weave it in here. Just kind of pulling it through to either side. All right, so we just had that red piece disappear. So I'm going to wait to weave this one in until we have the top row of the blue already done. So again, to connect the blue, we're just going to cast on again, which means we just kind of, I say cast on, that's a whole knitting term. We're just going to tie we're just going to tie a slip knot around the stick. And then we're just going to go to work again and do more double crochets. The first one's already really hard because you don't want to pull it too tight, but you also want to make sure it's on and it stays. All right, we've now done another row of the blue. So usually I like to do like 2 blocks of the red or whatever color, alternate color I'm doing. So I like to do like of this, and then I have the same amount of blue between the two different colored blocks. So the different colored block this time is red. So I'm going to do another one blue, so then I'll have 2 blue, and then I'll do another 2 red. So that way it is very symmetrical. So we're going to do one more row of blue, and then we're going to switch back to red, and then the rest of the scarf until we reach the other side again to match will be blue. Or this kind of seafoamy green color. Ta-da! Okay, now we're going to change back to the red, and we're going to do the exact same thing as we did last time. So we're going to snip, tie off, tie on, once I find the end of this one. Does it have an end? There we are. So tie this one on. And then we're going to start, I like to start from the same side that we think that's what's going to happen. So I like to always start on the same side, that way you have the rows looking the same on the back. So you kind of like have a front and a back side. All right, so we're going to start. Oh, that's weird, hold on. There we go. And then we're going to just keep doing double crochets until we have what looks just like the red one below it. Okay, so we have one row. And look how long it's getting. It's starting to look like a scarf already. So now we're going to turn, and we're going to do one more row of the red. So single, single, loop over in preparation for a double, put the double through, pull it, hook it, go through 2, go through 2. Okay, so we have done the 2 rows of the red, so therefore we are going to finish that off. We're going to snip, whoop, snip, pull through the loop, make sure that's tied off nice and tight there. All right, we then have all of these ugly ends that we are going to weave through. At least we're going to weave through most of them. This one we can't do quite yet. But we're just going to do this as we go. That way it'll be easier when we are finished. So we're going to go, I'm just sticking my needle through, then pulling that end, sticking it through, and pulling that end to the other side, just weaving it through the chain, so that it just kind of becomes part of it. Alright, see, just disappeared. Magic. Magic. So we're going to do the same thing for this one here. For this little guy. I'm going to weave him through. it's also disappeared. All right, so then the last one that we can weave through is this one here. So we're just gonna go through and weave through this tail, pulling it from side to side. So here is the beginning of our scarf. We are then going to go ahead and we'll do exactly what we did the last couple times, and we're going to attach the blue, and then we're going to do a really, really big blue block. That's basically going to be the rest of the scarf, and then we're going to repeat this down on the far side. So this is really like the end of the scarf that will be hanging down here once it's all done. We're going to do the big blue block that goes all the way around the neck. You don't want to stay around and watch me just crochet for a couple hours, or however long it takes me to do that. So I think we're going to end that episode here. We'll do one more row just to make sure you understand how to tie on and weave through and all that good stuff. Well, we're going to do that, and then we'll come back in our next episode and we will show you how to finish off your scarf as well as make some decorative tassels for it. So our last thing that we are going to do today is prepare for the giant blue block. So slip knot, tie on the blue. We're going to wrap it one around, put it through that hole there, start doing our double crochet line. Ooh. I always like to make sure I do the first one on nice and tight so it doesn't come undone and then unravel everything, but I did that one a little too tight. All right. So then I'm basically just going to be doing this for a really long time, and you just make however long you want that blue block to be that goes around your neck. That kind of depends on your height, as well as where you like your scarves to end, or how many times you want to wrap that scarf around your neck as well. So that's really more of a personal preference thing if you are making one along with me, or if you just are interested in seeing how I do it. I like to make mine pretty long. I enjoy wrapping it around a couple times. I think it looks good that way. Keeps you nice and warm, your neck nice and toasty. Okay, so hopefully that row is going to help you visualize what we're going to just continue on doing, and that is to continue on crocheting the giant blue block. That'll go all the way around the neck. But there, it looks pretty good. I think we're going well. And we are going to add fringe to the bottom today. So I have finished crocheting all of it, which is nice and long. Protect you from all those good cold winters. And now we're going to add some white fringe to the bottom here. So we're going to get it till we just have one layer that we are dealing with at a time. Now this is the bottom of my scarf, and it's nice, but we are going to make it even a little bit more fancy. So I'm going to add some fringe, not necessarily tassels, but almost. To do that, I am going to cut several lengths of yarn. So let's see. I always like to make them a little bit longer because you're never going to cut them exactly, and then that way at the end we can just snip across the bottom and it all looks good. So I'm going to cut a couple lengths. Let's see. About yay much. This is about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to 11 inches is what we have right here. This is going to give me enough room to work with, or enough length to work with while I make these tassels. So I have two 2 strands of about 10 inches here. I am then going to poke these through, or pull these through, my first chain stitch here. So I'm going through just the center of my chain stitch at the bottom. So along my bottom row that I have here, I'm going to go through the middle of the end, the middle of that chain stitch. I'm going to go through there. I'm going to hook my 2 strands. I'm going to pull those through. All right, I'm going to hook those bottom ones and basically do like a chain stitch with both of these. Whoop. All right, pull those through. Oh, pull that tight. Ta-da! We now have some fringe. All right, so I'm going to do that again. So I'm going to cut 2 lengths of yarn, about 10 inches long. So 1, snip, 2, snip. I'm going to keep doing this along the bottom. I'm going to go into every single one. So here we are. This is the second one from the edge. So second one from the edge, I'm going to go through the center of that one. Oh, wait, that's the third one. There we go, second one from the edge. I'm going to hook my 2 strands. I'm going to pull those through. All right, and then just like a chain stitch, I'm going to loop over my tassels. Whoop. I'm going to loop over my tassels or my fringe. Then I'm going to pull those through, pull it all the way through. All right, then pull it tight. There we go. So now you can see it's a little bit, they're not all even. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to lay it flat here. I'm going to rake all of my yarn, tassels, fringe. All right, so then I'm going to choose about the shorter length, about here. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to trim all my ends to about there. So there we are. Now it's all a little more even. So there we are. That's how you can put some fringe on the bottom of your scarf. And now I'm going to do the exact same thing on this side, but now you can see the difference that the fringe makes. All right. Now this side is done. I'm gonna get all that to lay down all nice. All right. There we are. Okay, so now we want this to be the same length as our other fringe. So I'm going to lay this one down and rake it out all nice. And I'm going to fold the scarf in half so that this one is laying down just on top of this one. Okay. We'll smooth that all out. And then I'm going to cut off all the excess that goes below the first round of fringe. All right, so there we have it. We have now added fringe to both ends of our scarf. If you are interested in having this scarf, we are raffling it off. So if you go ahead and donate $5 to the Northeast Georgia History Center, the link will be in the description, you can have a chance to win this beautiful scarf that we just watched how to make. So if you're interested, go ahead and do that. Click the donation link. You can donate $5. That's the minimum ticket raffle. That will mean that you get entered once. Of course, if you give more money, each ticket's $5. So if you give $20, that is 4 tickets. You'll be entered to win this scarf 4 times.